right, and we are here at Buchla and Friends 2025 with Joe Grisso of Rain City Modular. Hey Joe, how's it going?
Not bad, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Good.
Can you show us what you're working on and what you have here?
So we just started shipping these. This is the sequencer construction set. We took a sequencer and broke it down into its component parts. So you have a voltage sequencer, you have a trigger sequencer, and you have a common timing bus that you connect on the back of all the modules. So you can have external transport control and have everything synced up without having to have a ton of patch cables on it. So that way you can build a really small sequencer or go really, really large if you have huge drum groups and stuff like that. We wanted to kind of invert the current sequencing model, make something a little more playable, performable, and intuitive.
That's great.
So that's exactly what we've got. So yeah.
And I assume this is for Eurorack, correct?
Yes, it is for Eurorack. Thank you.
Can you show us what you have?
Sure. So this is a very large sequencing setup here, but it's all broken down into simple modules. So we have a clock distributor, which takes the clock bus, and that clock bus is on these small cables here because we didn't want to pollute the back with ribbons.
Yeah.
So, and that goes from module to module. That we start with the voltage sequencers here, and voltage sequencer is an 8-step sequencer that can be driven by the clock bus or an external clock on the input. It also has a chromatic quantizer in it, so you can turn it on and turn it off. Then we have the trigger sequencer here, which is a 16-step sequencer, also can be externally clocked. We have per-step ratcheting programmability on this. And then we have a sequential switch with fundamental functions. So if you want to take multiple voltage or multiple trigger sequencers and make longer sequences, you can do that. So
I was going to ask you how these speak to each other. So you can set it up so you use one set of 8 sequences there, one set of 8 steps there, and then it can tell that one to go, and then the next and the next.
And that's how we have these 2 sequencers set up here. So if you look at the LED on the side of the sequential switch here, whichever LED is lit up is whatever input is being routed to the output. So it starts with this sequencer, then goes to this sequencer, then goes back to this one, and so on and so forth. And you can put up to 4 units in an input. So that gives you 32 steps of voltage or 64 steps of trigger with a single sequencer.
And as you said, the master clock
is coming
right
from PAMS.
It's coming from PAMS, but everything is related to that, and it's all happening behind the scenes underneath via those little cables that you were talking about.
Yes, exactly. And then in order to give you more tempo flexibility, we have 8 step length modes, and they're common to all the steps.
Great.
What we call 4 Q modes if you're putting 24 PPQ in, and then 4 CP modes if you're putting raw clock pulses in. So that way you can get quarter note, 8th note, 16th note, or 32nd note, and then 1, 2, 4, and 8 clock pulses. That way you can think in both musical and time division terms if you're doing modulation or melodic sequences.
And how do you do the ratcheting? Oh, there's a button right there.
There's a ratchet button right here, so it's really easy. You go into ratchet mode, you select a step, and then 1 through 8 for up to 8 pulses per ratchet.
And then you've got your Tangerine Dream on.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yes. So yeah.
That's wonderful. And then I see you've got a sequential switch over here on this side.
And this one's not being used, but we wanted to basically, the demo rig was set up so we could have flexibility in the voltage and then flexibility in the trigger side.
It's awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to have a really purpose-built, bespoke sequencer for your Eurorack system, this looks like it's a very easy and fun way to be able to get in there and do it.
Oh yeah.
Hey Joe, are there any techniques here that you can use to be able to do compound meters and on-time signatures and things like that?
Definitely. So I have a setup right here on this trigger sequencer where we have the trigger output and the step 1 output going into the clock of another voltage sequencer. And you can do this with either voltage or trigger sequencers. So you can program a rhythmic pattern on these triggers. So not only will you get a different meter or a different rhythm off of it, you will also synchronize the voltage steps or the other trigger steps to this trigger sequencer.
I love how performative this is. That just seems like it's exactly oriented for real-time improvisation, which is wonderful. Yep,
and the modules are very economical as well. All of them are under $200.
Wow.
And we have a starter kit that builds you basically a 16-step sequencer for $650.
Wow. Joe Grisso, where can people find out more about Rain City Modular and about this wonderful sequencer?
Sure, you can go to raincitymodular.com. And we're currently looking at dealers, so hopefully we'll start having those show up on their shelves soon.
Well, best of luck with that, and have a great show.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.